Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, podcast where we spend just a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride.
And before we get into the card that we're going to talk about today, let's just quickly tell everybody out there how to enjoy Card Talk. There's, of course, the pod that you're listening podcast that you're listening to or watching on YouTube. We do have a blog that reviews the cards as the pod does. So if you want to read about the card and not hear us, or do both, see what all of us have to say, you can follow us over there at cardtalk2018.com. Micah has a second breakfast, which is his playthrough of some scenarios and with deck building restrictions and things like that. He posts those on our YouTube channel every other week. So he is active in trying to keep up with the playthroughs over there. And then we have an email address if you want to get a hold of any of us here at Card Talk, including Ted, who is ready, Teddy, nice and sweaty, who's not with us today, but you can email at us at cardtalk2018@gmail.com. And lastly, but definitely not least, you can support the pod or the blog by joining us at patreon.com/cardtalk2018. So, Grant, what's the card that we're going to talk about today?
Well, we're going back again to the core set.
Yeah, we've been rushing through the core. We're not rushing through the core set, but we've been trying to get done with all the core set cards.
Where we are talking about the 2-cost Raw ally, the Miner of the Iron Hills, with the response, which is a dwarf, and with the response, after Miner of the Iron Hills enters play, choose and discard one condition attachment from play, and has the flavor text, while the 4 dwarves sat around the table and talked about mines and gold and troubles with goblins.
Of course, that's from the. I was going to say, of course that's from the Hobbit. So, what do you think of the Miner of the Iron Hills?
It is very unique. It's stat line with 0 willpower, 1 attack, 1 defense, and 2 hit points. Isn't anything to shout about, but its response after the miner enters play, choose and discard 1 condition attachment from play. There are not many cards that can discard a condition attachment in play. And some of those condition attachments are like Caught in a Web, Watchful Eyes, Sacked, Shadow and Fear, Freezing Cold,
Unexpected Courage.
If you want to get rid of your own unexpected courage or one of your allies, yeah. Counter Spell from Shadow and Flame. And the list goes on. There are when I did a search result on Hall of Beyond, there's 105 results.
Right.
But some of those could be
some of them are
duplicates.
Repeats and stuff.
Yeah.
But they are repeated probably in scenarios too, right? Like the deluxe repeats and counter sets and stuff. So, like you'll see those condition attachments in a lot of different scenarios. So
so if you know that you're going into a quest where you may need to discard condition attachments, or you just want to be a troll for your friends, then play Miner of the Iron Hills. It's great fun.
Yeah, when I was playing my Saga playthrough, there's the one where it's grief,
Grievous Wounds,
where if if you
An
lose
ally
an
dies.
ally, you have to put it on your on a hero or something. That becomes a condition attachment. And there's also some, there's a lot of treacheries that become condition attachments instead.
You've got grievous wounds and overcome by grief.
Overcome by grief. That's the one that I'm thinking of. It's Gimli kind of kneeling in front of in the chamber of Mizarble, I think.
Yeah.
And so like that becomes a condition attachment, and the Miner of the Iron Hills allows you to remove that condition, and that is really good. And
well, that's the same as overcome by grievous wounds,
right,
because one's despair, the other is an actual wound. After a hero takes damage, if grievous wounds is unattached, attached to that hero. Whereas overcome by grief is when after a character is destroyed, if overcome by grief is unattached, attached to a hero. So you can actually get rid of both of them with Miner of the Iron Hills.
And so, the stat line of the Miner of the Iron Hills, is all right. I mean, it's a dwarf, and you can do all the dwarfy things with it. You can boost it with dying. You can, I don't know, like you can do all the, like I said, all the dwarfy things with it. But I think you put this dwarf in a deck, and it's not a dwarf that has to go into a dwarf deck, but you put this dwarf in any deck because you want the condition removal. And I mean, there's really only, I think, 5 cards that get rid of condition attachments, I think. So let me see if I can go through them. It's the Miner, this card, and then it's Elrond. And I actually prefer Elrond to the Miner, because if you don't have a condition attachment, Elrond has a couple other options. Ally Elrond, I'll say. Let's see. I think Ethelos, and then Power of Orthanc, and then Bulwark of the West. I think that those are it. And notice that there's 3 lore cards, 1 spirit, and 1 leadership. There's no tactics condition control. Not to say that condition attachments from the encounter deck are, the be-all and end-all of how the encounter deck kills you, but, from the very beginning of the game, when you have caught in a web on your hero and you can't use it to do anything, like, that's annoying. It's super annoying.
And just FYI, David, you got them all correct.
Oh, good. I did do a little research on this before we played, or before we started recording. So it's not like I knew it off the top of my head. I don't think I would have been able to get Ethelos, because I knew that I don't know, for some reason I didn't even think about Ethelos. But Power of Orthanc, Elrond are common, and Bulwark of the West is good because it's leadership, and it seems like that's... But nobody's going to play Bulwark of the West because you're discarding an ally. I mean, you could if you were desperate, but...
Snowblown Scout, man. You put it in, you get it, and you get...
there's ways to do it.
Then you Bulwark of the West to just destroy it. The condition attachment.
Yeah. And I mean, so I guess where I'm going with this is that that the Miner of the Iron Hills has stayed kind of an important card in the card pool, because it's in a very small group of 5 cards that deal with condition removal. And there can be some nasty conditions. What's the one, is it Weighed Down? Is that a condition?
Yep.
And so Weighed Down, you put it on the hero that controls the most attachments, and then every round, or every time the card readies, you discard another attachment.
Yep.
That's like, and so that is super annoying if you have a Voltron Aragorn, or some other built up hero. What's that?
3 Hunters deck.
3 Hunters deck, like all of it. And so weighed down is just a pain in the neck. So, so I think the Miner of the Iron Hills, not that you're going to play the Miner in a 300 deck, but I think that it stays an important card because there's just not that many options to choose from. It's not like healing or card draw or shadow control, or it's just, there's just 5 cards. If you're running a mono leadership deck, you only have one choice in terms of condition and control if you want it. Now the good thing is that almost all condition cards from the encounter deck start off as treacheries, so you can cancel them from the very beginning. So like you can just test of will them when they peel off the encounter deck. So that's another way to deal with conditions.
There are a couple of conditions that are enemies.
Right, but there are, like, you're right. So,
do you know which ones they are?
I was going to say, like, the Warg mounts in the Herodrum cycle, but those aren't conditions, they're mounts. The bats... Is one of them the bats?
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the name of the card is. What is it?
Well, you've got Strangling Python from Harad.
Oh, right. The Strangling Python from... It was funny, we were just talking about different types of enemies. There are enemy. Yeah, the creature enemies. Go ahead.
Let's just pull them up. Go to search. Right, there are 3. You got the Strangling Python, the Dark Bat, and the Lost Souls of Lorien.
Okay.
Are the 3 conditioned enemies. So you get the Strangling Python from the Mumakil, which is after Strangling Python deals damage to a character, attached to that character, counts as a condition attachment with the text attached character cannot ready. Dark Bats gives you, while attached, -1 to all willpower, attack, and defense. And the Lost Souls of Lorien is from the Nightmare of the Dead Marches. After it is destroyed, attach with the hero with 1 or more willpower if able. Limit 1 per hero. Attached hero's willpower is reduced to 0.
Jeez. Yeah. So there's a couple of condition attachments, and I mean, I get it, but I think that the Miner of the Iron Hills is a good card, and I think that it fits into all sorts of different deck types because it's condition removal. And I think that people, for the most part, play this because of the condition removal and not because it's like an amazing dwarf character. It does have 2 hit points, so it's, hardy, and it can be snuck into play. It can be sneak attack, and it's because it's after it enters play. It's not after it's played from your hand. So, that's good. I don't know if you want to sneak attack the Miner of the Iron Hills. Like, what purpose other than to get rid of a condition attachment? So, I don't know. I mean, I like this card. It's good.
Yeah, the artwork, however, makes you think of a dwarf that is very ill. I mean, he really does look ill.
Yeah, and so I'm glad you brought up the art because did you ever see the movie The Labyrinth? It's like an 80s cult classic, and there's like this weird disjointed scene in the middle of The Labyrinth where I think her name is Sarah. Sarah goes back to her home, or appears to go back to her home, but she actually just fell asleep. And in the middle of there's like a witch, and she collects all this stuff from like the garbage dump. That this card always makes me think of that scene where the witch is collecting all that trash on her back, and is walking around because I think she like walks with her back humped over, and this guy just has a bunch of stuff on his back. And so I don't know, it's just what I think of. I can't even really see his legs here unless it's right next to that walking stick,
it's a pickaxe that he's got there.
It's a pickaxe. Okay. I mean, it's just It's
But if you look at his arms and his face, he looks like he's becoming skin and bone.
yeah, I mean,
He's like really sunken, and it looks like he hasn't been fed for a week.
his right hand is in a fist, so and he's kind of crouched down, so it looks like he's constipated too, like he's kind of pooping a little bit.
I think that fist's holding the strap to his bag by the looks of it, while his other's on his pickaxe, and he's trying to push himself up the hill because he just doesn't have any more energy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I like the art, I guess. Like I don't think it's high quality like we see later on in the game. And so I think that's again, it's like suffering from core set art stuff. You know, some of the core set art is good, some of it's not so good. This falls kind of in the middle for me, you know. It's just kind of meh. Are you still with us, Grant?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, should we ring this guy?
Yeah, let's ring it.
Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, or maybe this is your first time here, this is we have a highly scientific yet arbitrary system where we ring a card on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is the one card to rule them all, or one of the best cards in the game, and a 10 is the card that we throw back into the fiery chasm from whence it came, or not a very good card in the game. So, Grant, what's your Miner of the Iron Hills rating?
I'm rating it a 3 because it fits. If you're in a situation where you need condition removal, it's cheap, it's affordable, and you can get it out. If you're in a quest where you're not running condition, where there's very little conditions, or the conditions aren't that bad, generally I don't bother running them. But when you do need, like, the conditions are bad, he's very, very good. So yeah, 3 rings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that high on this guy, but I think that there's, most of the condition attachments are treacheries. There are a few, like, from the core set, or not from the core set, from the saga campaign that we talked about, that are not treacheries, and then there's some that are enemies. And so, there are reasons to run condition removal, and this guy just kind of falls in the middle of that condition removal stuff for me. So I'm going to say that this guy is like a 5. He's middle of the road. And, like I said, he's one part of a smaller, a smaller contingent of cards. And I think that it's an important contingent of cards. And he's not so horrible. He sticks around in play. You can sneak him into play. You can do all sorts of stuff. So that's what I got to say about that. And his art is weird. So, anyways, join us again as we talk about more cards from the game. Have a great day, everybody.
Do you love the content? Here's what you can do to stay connected. Become a patron. The money collected through Patreon goes into keeping the lights on here at the podcast. We love our patrons, and you can join at many different levels. Visit patreon.com/cardtalk2018. You can subscribe to us, whether you're watching our YouTube channel or you're listening to us in your favorite podcatcher. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications of all our new episodes. Didn't know we were an audio podcast? Find us by searching Card Talk to get access to our 120 plus regular episodes. Didn't know we were a video channel? Find us by searching Card Talk LOTR LCG on YouTube. And there you can find not only our regular episodes, but you can find our bonus playthroughs and other content related to the game. Want to get a hold of Ted, Grant, or myself? Feel free to email the podcast at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.